So on screen are 2 lines of code that I'll explain later, but pause if you want to look at them. I mean, there's not much to look at. One is the enable assessed action, or the line of code made to, as I transition back to the game here, made for basically using the assess action appropriately. Although, as you'll see, apparently I can't do so. But we'll see. I think I may have done so. I was messing with a lot of things, so I was actually supposed to hit quick play. And the other line of code is specific to the Perm plugin, but it is handled, again, to note, I'll mention this later as we see what we have for today and for custom mysteries, but I'll explain that later. And if I forget, well, I forget. But otherwise, let's get into this. So, but just to mention quickly, just basically bug testing my own things, because I was testing out what I could and could not do. I don't know why I tried testing the limitations of what is and is not possible, but to note, as we get into this Herald Medical History Random Item Stats run, and if that wasn't the setting, just forget about it. But you'll notice that we are not on the Perm plugin, so we do not have the special weapon that appears here. This is going to be a 0.5 episode because I wanted to see how compatible this is. I did test it out, but I mean, there's not much to say on that note. Second mystery, second a little bit charisma, strength, knowledge, light check, and maybe a second encounter. And to note, again, is that I did want to try and work with 4 custom mysteries just to kind of put the character through the ringer without being in the Perm plugin, really, so that we don't have the weapon, which makes things a lot easier on top of the skill, but that's tied to having the weapon equipped anyway. We do get Kana, and unfortunately the 4th mystery appeared along with the first, so shrug. But we do want to take the custom mystery I was making, so we have flat. I'll take the bottom one, piano, but we do take Kana first because Kana. And before we do anything else, we are, you know what, I'm gonna tree for funds this time. Brain damage, cool, not for ghost, and traumatized. And then I'll explain the code in a moment. Let me just focus on getting something cool. Yep, the monkey wrench, and off we go. But I wanted to mention, I do have the assess option enabled, but for some reason I can't use the assess action. I might have been missing something. Again, I've been doing a lot of stuff, primarily game development. I'm just messing with basically kind of putting the cherry on top, if that makes any sense, even though I haven't completely baked the cake. That's the analogy I'll use. But basically, I was making the title screen for the RPG Maker game that I was making. And then for World of Horror, I decided to make some, finish up the boss artwork, and I decided that made no sense. What I made no sense, and so I just kind of reverted back to what I had, basically, in the last video. And then aside from that, you may notice when we get to the mystery, I changed some text, again, slowly filling things out. And we have 3 knowledge, so this is very, very painful. I can't just run here. We are on Herald, but gotta do what I gotta do to survive. Well, Monument in place of it to kind of displace the doom we lost from running away. But again, we do lose the experience, and yeah, that's that. But as we get Kana here, so to explain, keep an eye on the assess action if I forget, just in case. If I don't go into the category, you won't see it grayed out. Basically, when it's grayed out or you can't click it, then obviously the action isn't working. The other thing I wanted to mention is that when we get to the custom mystery again, I did put a random 6, which is the code I showed you at the very beginning of the video. It could be random any number, but I like to do 6 just to do a throw 50-50, and that is going to be the deciding factor, as I mentioned in the last episode, between whether or not you just get a 2 doom when you try to just get your free out, or you run into an enemy instead. Which, when I say free out, I mean you pick a decision. Before I made changes, it was automatically +2 doom, but now there's a 50% chance based on just literally RNG that you run to an encounter instead. So, I decided to make it a little harder. By the way, flat has a boss, there's a boss here, and then piano has a boss, so I need to make the decision. I think I'll just do 3 in a row here. We'll take flat first, because the boss here I think is harder. But not as hard as Hiriko, which, as we get a 12 roll there, is quite chunky, and without having the axe and the skill, does make that encounter a lot harder, which is why I wanted to go through this. Again, the big thesis statement for this episode is playing without the Perm plugin, just to see if everything that I did add, as in the character or the mystery, for the Perm plugin specific code, works out. Again, I have to praise the Perm plugin for that, I have to praise the Perm plugin for that. because even if you don't have it installed, if there is code that is only usable in the perm plugin, the game won't crash, is what I'm trying to say. But, because, yeah, 41 HP, 2 stamina, so tanky, chunky, but it's not undoable, especially if you keep hitting these attacks left, right, and center. As you'll notice, though, between this boss and my boss, the boss I made, as we get badly bleeding here, we do have a medical kit, so let's deal with that. But, oh, we can't do it yet. Well, oh, wait, no, it's minor. It's a minor injury. Okay. We do need to get rid of it anyway, but I was gonna say something and I forgot. Oh yeah, so I know again, art is not my strongest suit. It's not my worst suit. Again, music production would be my worst suit as we get coughing blood here, so you need to take care of that as well. I want my dexterity checks, but as we get 35 experience for that, yeah, if I just work on it, it doesn't need to be the greatest, but here's my soft statement. It's not a blanket statement, but at least for World of Warcraft custom content in general, yeah, feel free to just modify or make changes to anything that I made. I think that was the case with Ashley, we'll just say, because I do credit Anonymous for that. But fresh meat, quick thinking, funny enough. And then we take a point in strength, so we can strength ourselves up. And into the mystery for Hiriko we go. So, I don't think I really made too many changes. I think I I retracted some of my changes, but hey, also note that this character has high luck. We're still failing luck checks. That makes me so sad. Funny enough, Demon Mask. And away we go. So, if I pick the left option here, you shouldn't see so with random 6, you've seen this before. I'll show you again in the next episode because I'll have made the changes by then. But you will see the game roll a random number, or basically roll a die as the immersion is supposed to tell us. But there, it didn't do so. So I assume it just defaults to story category is what I'm guessing. And for those who don't know, basically when you code custom events in particular, or some other things, but mainly events, there is a factor that you choose, because you could, stat checks are treated, code them by saying, one of the stat names. But if you don't want to test the stat check and you just want the player to go through an event, then you just basically add the word story. That's the code used to dictate that. So in the perm plugin, there is something called random, random underscore x being any number, and that will basically, again, just roll 1 to 12 die, 1d12, I think. But it rolls a dice and it weighs it against the number that you say. But since we're not using the perm plugin, I assume it just defaults to story, if I'm getting that right. I might be going crazy. It's probably, I feel like I read that somewhere in one of the readmes for the perm plugin. But actually, if I'm fighting this boss with 3 stamina for a reason, this is a 0.5 episode. I could just do this really quickly, but no. I wanted to actually fight this boss, but we don't have enough HP for it. The boss there has 40 plus HP and does, I think, minimum 3 all damage, and we don't have enough. And I want this video to go on longer, just for no other reason than to see how balanced this character is without her weapon and skill. But as it turns out, it's a lot easier that way. Again, it's because of the handcuff tech. It's because of handcuff tech, but shrug. I think I also showed you that I fixed the little basically exploit behind the skill, but again, that's something else to think about entirely. Just run away. I know that's reason. Could have rested to try and take care of a lot of stuff, but now that we have fetid fumes, never mind. I guess that's not feasible anymore. We might as well rest anyway, because this piano is gonna eat us. So yeah, especially with that reason hit, we definitely just need to rest like a few times. And if we even survive this, then hey. But that being said, it's not like I'm working with the worst loadout as well. My Doom is a bit high now, but that was the trade-off for having the HP that I wanted to get. Now, this encounter, on the other hand, just have to run there. We don't have to run there, but I promise you, our HP will not be any better for it. Also, we're taking Doom in the middle of this mystery. I forgot that this increases Doom here and there. Just in general, I think we take less damage, or does it have more HP? I guess we're going to find out. So, unfortunately, we have to do the sacrifice there, but that's for the sake of not dying here, because otherwise, yeah, I think it does more damage. We also have Kana with us, but that, I promise you, we needed all the advantages we could get. Now, if we could hit 2 of these attacks, that would be nice too. Okay, good. So, off we go. Yeah, so even if we had Kana with us, I think that boss, Hiriko's boss, would have done like 2 all damage, and we only had like 4 stamina, 3-ish reason. It was not enough. So, could have gone for a dodge play, but yeah, it's not great. So, Nails is our last mystery. I never checked the thingamajiggy, did I? I guess I didn't. So, we'll put the patrols in the school. I think we have a few school investigations here. But more importantly for handcuff tech, if we can even do it, if we survive long enough to get to the boss. But we'll see. Kana helps out immensely here. Unfortunately, we still have 3 knowledge, so even if I wanted to fight the ghost, I forgot if you could run away. I know there are some enemies that are base World of Horror that when they come from an event, they're linked to an event, you can't run away from them. I swear that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's at least 2 enemies that are linked to an event, and you end up not being able to run away from them. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. Someone who has hundreds of hours in World of Horror can't even remember that. I simply thought that it says 6, by the way, but we rolled a 10, so it didn't matter. I thought I was going to be able to pass the dexterity check. Guess I can't win the coin flip. But yeah, we tested what we wanted to test. Not going to take much more of your time. If you have anything to say, you know what to do.